Hey guys, what's going on? This is Ash here coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. Hopefully this video finds you all doing well. Today is going to be a really fun one, guys. I hope you enjoy this video as much as I did kind of gathering this information. So last week, I hit up the Diamond Influencer Manager for Plarium inside Raid Shadow Legends, and I asked him, hey dude, do you think that you can go to all your colleagues, your coworkers, the developers, the game designers, the coders, the artists behind Raid Shadow Legends who work at Plarium, ask them one simple question for me. Who is your most underrated champion? Who do you, as somebody behind the scenes making this game, who do you identify as a champion who you absolutely love, you created them after all, that you don't see a lot of people talking about? So today I have, I think, 9 employees' answers and some reasoning behind why they love these champions. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So starting out with Cirilla. So Cirilla, you guys probably know her, a community manager for Raid Shadow Legends. Her favorite, most underrated champion is Knight Errand, a Bannerlord Spirit Affinity champion, and those of you who have invested in this champion will tend to agree. So let's hear it from Cirilla's mouth first, and then we'll take a quick look at these champions kits kind of as we go through the different employees. So a fantastic direct damage, and I can second that or third that, right? Fantastic direct damage champion and a killer of Zargala until you have a really solid AoE attacker. Can be useful in Clan Boss if you have if he has a really high attack, crit rate, and crit damage, as he does also place that weaken debuff, which is true on the Death Warrant ability to A3, the ability that he is known for, right? But let's take a quick look at Knight Errand's kit. I think that Knight Errand is one of the hardest hitting champions inside the entire game in terms of direct damage, so definitely a champion that you're gonna love to invest in and just see those incredibly high, we're talking like 300k or higher type crits on this champion. So on the A1 he does have a leech. On the A2 he has a 100% chance, actually make that a 90% chance when booked, of placing a stun, resets the cooldown of each of these champion skills if the target is killed, and then Death Warrant, as we talked about, right, attacks one enemy, has a 100% chance of landing that weaken when he's booked up, damage increased by 75% if this champion has full HP. Death Warrant can hit like an absolute truck, and what's better than all that, or not better, but what's also additionally good about this champion is increased ally defense in dungeons by 32%. Fantastic aura on Knight Errand. Let's move on to the next champ. So next up is Andrew, guys, and Andrew picked another great champion, Crimson Helm, a Dark Elf Spirit Affinity champion. Now, what does Andrew say about her? Her A3 with provoke and block damage allows the rest of the team to finish the deal when the battle doesn't go your way. Revive on Death skill also gives her a tremendous round of applause. So let's check it out here. On the A3, let's see what he's talking. First of all, look at that base defense. 1531 base defense on Crimson Helm. Good God, I didn't even realize it was that high. On the A3, Unguard. Forgive the cheese, guys, forgive it. A lot of cringe in today's video. Place a Revive on Death buff and a 60% increased defense buff on all allies for 2 turns on a 4-turn cooldown. Andrew is right, that's a sick ability. On the A2, what he was talking about in terms of the provoke, on a 3-turn cooldown, Vile Tongue, when booked, attacks 4 times at random. Each hit has a 95% chance when booked of placing a provoke debuff for 1 turn. Plays a block damage buff on this champion for 1 turn. Dude, I know Crimson Helm. I've seen Crimson Helm. I'm very aware of Crimson Helm. But why did I not realize she was this good? You know, between the defense and wow, Andrew's right, man. Has a decreased attack also on the A1 and increases ally HP in dungeons by 33%. Another solid aura as well. So Crimson Helm. So next up is the Diamond himself. So the Diamond's favorite underrated champion is Horton, a Magic Affinity champion from the Banner Lords. And a lot of you guys probably have Horton or might have Horton because he was a fragment summon just a couple months back. So what does the Diamond say about Horton? Now this is really cool. This is why I love, you know, just, I don't know, I love videos like this. You get a little bit of insight too. He said, Horton was originally an early main concept character for Raid, kind of like we have with Galek now, like the starting champions. So Horton was one of the OG originals. Interesting, he got obviously changed to Epic and, you know, not a concept early starting champion anymore. But he says, for me, it's like the Raid Shadow Legends symbol. Also, as people say, and I love it, he hits like a truck, and it's helped me to close out a lot of campaign stages until I got Skull Crown. So helping him through campaign is Horton with really good multipliers on his attacks. The personal favorite of the Diamond. Really cool kind of, I don't know, inside info on him being a main early concept starting champion as well. Never knew that. So next up, guys, we have Valkyrie, the other community manager for Raid Shadow Legends, and she cheated. She picked 2 champions, but we're gonna allow it here. Infernal Baroness is her first choice. Demon Spawn, Epic Champion, Force Affinity. And what does she have to say about Baroness? She said, quite rare to see this champion used, but she allowed me to finish the last stage of Spider's Den. It's very important to have the counter-attack mastery unlocked with her, and desirable to have a counter-attack champion on the team with her as well. The reason she says that, Retribution, by the way, is the mastery. The reason she says that is an AoE on the A1, and all of her damage is based on defense. You can build her kind of like a tank. Attacks all enemies, heals the ally with the lowest HP by 5% of the damage inflicted. On the A2, again, an AoE, has a 50 or 75% chance when booked, placing a decreased attack debuff on all enemies for 2 turns, and places a perfect veil buff on an ally for 3 turns on a 4 turn. That's Infernal Baroness. Really solid kit there with 2 AoEs and the veil. So Harvester, what does she have to say about Harvester, a rare champion, Dark Elf Void? Harvester, early game, she allowed me to finish the Magic Keep. She's simply crazy with A2 block debuff skill, 80% with no tomes, and an A3 increase enemy skill cooldown for 2 turns, 90% with no tomes. Okay, she's got a point there, right? Has the weaken on the A1, on the A2 has the block buffs for 2 turns, and on the A3, again, unbooked, 90% chance of increasing the cooldown of one of the target skills by 2 turns at random. So for the early game, actually a pretty good option in Harvester. All right, guys, so next up we have Dima on the team. So Dima also picked 2. We're gonna get a few multiple choices here, which is actually fun. I like hearing about all these champions that they've used kind of to help them progress inside the game. So we have Diabolist first, a Demon Spawn champion. Dima picked 2 rare champions, by the way. What does he say about Diabolist? A great free-to-play analog of Apothecary and even Lysandra. There was a case when she allowed me to overtook and defeat one of the top players in Classic Arena. You can farm this champion in campaigns and upgrade her skills greatly even without tomes via dupes. Good point there, right? What's so good about Diabolist? On the A1, she has a sleep. On the A2, attacks all enemies. Plays a 30% increased speed buff on all allies for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. An insane ability. And on the A3, positive charge. Fills the turn meter of all allies by 15%, decrease the turn meter of all enemies by 15% on a 4 turn. Again, very comparable to a Lysandra, just like he said, meets a Apothecary with both the turn meter on the A3 and the increased speed. Strong version AoE with the AoE attack on the A2 Electric Storm. Certainly an incredible champion. So Arcanist, I believe, is, I've actually never used her, but here she is, Knight Revenant, Force Affinity champion, another rare support champion. He says, I used this champ for almost half a year early in the game, and it helped to greatly progress inside the game. Unnatural recovery skill allows you to keep allies under the continuous heal, and here it is right here. Keep allies under the continuous heal buff almost the whole time. On top of that, the reflex set, which gives 30% chance to reduce a random skill, is a great addition to this champion. Good call. So he likes using Arcanist in a reflux set to have this unnatural recovery help a continuous heal strong version for a rare on all allies for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. That is a really good healing ability. Has a sleep on the A1. On the A3 has an increased attack and an increased crit rate on all allies for 3 turns on this champion. Defense in arena battles by 25%. So next up is our very first legendary mention of the video, and I think it's going to be our last, and it is by Sir Sergey. So Sergey says, Norog, a Skinwalker Magic Affinity champion. He says, my first Lego, super cool champion and brutally looking. Yeah, indeed, right? He is a tank if I ever did see one. Has some very useful skills, especially at the early game, which helped me a lot in PvE and PvP. Thanks to his A3, I managed to easily complete all dungeons where you farm potions. Also, his passive allowed me to complete a dragon dungeon and even Spider's Den. He was on my main team until the 15th stage in Spider's Den. Norog was my main team in Classic Arena for over a year, gold for all the time. I don't have him in my main Classic team now, but tag team, he's still irreplaceable for me. So what's so great about Norog? On the A1, he has block cooldown skills, damage based on defense. On his A2, an AoE plays a block buffs debuff for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. His passive is incredible, immune to stun, freeze, sleep, decreases the damage taken by all allies who are under 1 or more buff by 15%, decreases the damage taken by all allies that have no active buffs by 25% on that thick skin passive. And check out the best defensive aura in the game, I believe, 40% ally defense in dungeons. Really solid support champion, there's no doubt about it. I kind of agree that he often doesn't get recognition as the champion that he is. And look at his speed, 106, a fast champion for a pig in heavy armor, right? So next up we have Stan. So Stan picks 3 champions here, so let's jump into it here. He picks Shatter Bones first, Ogren Tribe champion, Force Affinity. He says, the first epic I got in the game, and let me interject, don't we all have like this nice affinity towards the first champions that we collected inside Raid? I'm the same way. My first legendary was Biggin, and to this day, I love Biggin. He's a great champion anyway. But anyway, Shatter Bones. This guy boosted my progress everywhere until the Nightmare campaign. My first adequate arena team focused on decreasing enemy turn meter, and it was all built around this guy. The only minus, he doesn't use his A2 at the start on auto. So let's take a quick look at Shatter Bones. On his A1, he has an increased attack on all allies if the attack is critical. That's great. On the A2, attacks all enemies 3 times on a 4-turn cooldown, has a 75% chance to decrease the turn meter by 30% when booked. On the A3, on a 5-turn cooldown, plays a 15% decreased speed debuff on all enemies for 2 turns and fills the turn meter of all allies by 25%. I can see what Stan is talking about in terms of him being a great turn meter manipulation champion to kind of build an arena team around. Next up, we have another arena specialist, at least in my opinion, Basher. So Basher is a Skinwalker Void Affinity champion. I've done a guide on Basher before on the channel. He says, after Summer Fusions, when I fused him, this guy rocketed me from Silver 4 to Gold 4 and to getting my Arbiter. And yes, it was when the arena was broken, so it was quite a challenge. I love that he acknowledges that. The Stinging Blast skill is insane, and it gives my team the one thing they need. 1 turn when enemies can't use their main skills. Still love him in the arena. So it actually has Stinging Blast. Attacks all enemies. 3-turn cooldown. Increases the cooldown of all target skills by 2 turns. A great kind of CC crowd control champion for the arena with that skill. I mean, you really never even use the Cossphere ability, especially in the arena, because you never need to, right? But attacks 4 times at random on a 4-turn, has a block buffs debuff on it as well. On his A1 has a weaken. And I love the 3rd champion that he included, guys. The 3rd champion is going to be, I'm embarrassed to say, I don't even know. I think it's Incubus. So Incubus, what an uncommon champion. That's right. He says, thanks to 12-3 drops, this guy is the character I've leveled up other characters more than any other. The best player progress support champion. I love where Stan's head is at there. So big nod to Incubus. So next up is Rustling or Ruslan. Sorry, I'm probably butchering half these names, right? Just like I do with the Raid Shadow Legends characters. It's Beard Owl Fellhammer. So Beard Owl Fellhammer, I mean, a lot of you guys probably already know how much of a beast this dude is in Clan Boss. He says, a cool looking bearded, what a surprise, dwarf with a constant counterattack who can take care of himself, especially when equipped in a lifesteal set. So this dude is a Clan Boss beast, as I mentioned. On his A1, he has a heal reduction. On his A2, he has a shield on this champion equal to 30% of the damage inflicted for 3 turns on a 3-turn cooldown on a 3-time hitter. the triple threes on the A2, and place a counterattack buff on this champion for 1 turn at the start of each round. Place a counterattack buff on this champion for 1 turn at the end of their turn. So yeah, with Paranoia passive, he is always counterattacking. His aura, I forgot what, attacking all dungeons by 32%. So last but not least is Igor. So Igor from the Raid Shadow Legends team picked Mausoleum Mage, but wait, isn't the word already out on Mausoleum Mage? Don't people know this guy is a beast? Well, they do now. I think most people do, at least who watch, you know, content creators, but a lot of people just had him, like myself included, in their vault for way too long. What does Igor say about him? He says, "I've always dreamt of Gorgorab, and I still dream a lot about it." And I still dream a lot about Gorgorab. And a year or so after pulling a mage, I mistook him for Gorgorab. So first I was delighted, and then I got disappointed. So he thought that Mausoleum Mage was Gorgorab, and then he was disappointed, right? So he goes, he helped, but the disappointment was in vain. He helped me a lot in the arena with his A2 and A3 skills, a true buff combiner. Alright, so Mausoleum Mage is a beast. On his A1, he has the decreased speed. On his A2, strong version of increased defense on a 3-turn cooldown, the holy grail of support inside this game, and a block debuffs for 1 turn on top of that. And why not put an increased crit rate by 30% on the same skill? A very, very good ability, Might of Undeath. And on the A3, on a 4-turn, removes all debuffs, a true cleanser from all allies, then heals all allies by 10% of this champion's max HP, heals each ally further depending on the amount of debuffs that are removed. So Mausoleum Mage is indeed a beast. Guys, thank you so much to the Plarium team for giving their input and giving like a little bit of a description as to why they feel these champions are underrated. I loved making this video. Let me know if you want me to ask the Plarium team. I could be that annoying dude, right, who asked them another question about, hey, what's your favorite legendary champion, Plarium team? Let me know in the comments below what you want me to ask them next, and maybe I'll do a follow-up video sometime in the future. In the meantime, I want to throw the question to you guys. Who is your favorite, most underrated champion? Maybe it was your first pull, maybe it's just somebody you've been leaning on, maybe it was someone that you had in your vault for a long time and didn't realize they were good. Let me know in the comments below, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the content here, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. Thanks, and as always, take care, guys.